All right, welcome everyone. In this video, I want to talk about a really useful function from the tidyr package called the separate function. And the separate function is going to give us a nice way of separating a column of data values into two different or more than two different columns. So this is kind of like the text to columns function in Excel or Google Sheets, if you're familiar with that sort of function. So it's a little bit different than the pivot longer command that we saw earlier in this module, in the sense that we're just really simply, we're not going to add any rows of data to this data frame by this operation. We're just going to take this column and split it in and create multiple columns from that one column. And the issue with with table 3, and I just want to reiterate that we're working with the tidyverse here. We're going to work with the tidyr package. If you want to run these code cells, the easiest way to access them is to run the library tidyverse commands. Then you'll have access to all of the tables that we're using in these code cells. So the issue with table 3 is it mostly looks tidy. So our data is organized so that each variable is in a column, and each observation is organized in a row. So that looks good. We've got country, year, and rate. But the problem is in the cells in the rate column, we don't have an individual value. So in each cell should be a single value. However, in this cell, we have two values. The rate is not given as a decimal. It's given as a ratio of two values, 745, the number of cases divided by the population. So what would be tidy would be, hey, it would be great. Like, why not just have a column for the number of cases? Why not have a column for the population? And then if we wanted to, we could create an additional column, for example, using the mutate function from the dplyr package. We could create a column for the rate, and that we could define based on the rate, excuse me, based on the number of cases and the population. So what I would like to do with table 3 is just create a column that says the number of cases is the value that comes before the slash, and the population is the number that comes after that. So the function in tidyr that can serve that purpose is called separate. The first input into that function is the table, is the data that we're going to manipulate. So I can either enter that as my first argument, or I could pipe it into the function. So in this case, I chose to pipe it into the separate function. Then I enter the name of the column that I would like to separate. So in this case, I would like to separate the rate column. So here I named this column, and did not put it between double quotes. Next, I need to indicate what are going to be the names of the columns that I'm going to separate these values into. And so I'm going to separate this into two columns. So the first one is going to be named cases, and the second one is going to be called population. And I put those names inside of double quotes. And then I need to indicate what is the character or position which to separate. And in this case, I'm using a separator, which is the character, the backslash here. It's possible that sometimes you might want to say a fixed number of positions. So like go over 5 spaces, and that's where you're going to break off. So it could be like a fixed width separation, and there's a way to do that as well. Here, I'm doing like a character separation with the division symbol. And running this code cell over here, notice first of all, because we're in the tidyverse, it creates another tibble, and it has set up so that we have cases as one output and population as cases as one column, population as another column. And then if I wanted to, I could certainly calculate, I could create another column called rate, again, using the mutate function, for example, by saying let rate equal cases divided by population. And then I've got a rate column, which would be calculated by and represented with a single value as opposed to writing it as a ratio of 2 values. Okay, so that is the separate function. In the very last video for this week, we'll take a look at the unite function. Thanks.